Shatter the silence? Why? I love silence. I had the privilege of remaining silent for 21 years. Silence was my dearest friend. Silence protected me, kept me in the realm of normalcy. I silenced the voices of others, but I mostly silenced my own voice. Silenced my doubt, silenced my self-judgment. Me and silence, silence and me, conquering the world together. I remember when I met silence. 6th grade, sitting in a circle, telling and listening to everyone's crushes. So, who's your crush? Silence. Come on, just tell us. Silence. The good news is they dropped it. The better news is I dropped it. Dropped the feelings that were creeping up inside myself. The feeling that I was looking for something a little bit different. I don't know. Didn't know. Didn't want to think about it. Definitely didn't want to consider the possibility that I wasn't into guys at all. The first 21 years of my life were pretty silent and pretty sweet. I was a normal, white, heterosexual female. Sure, I had some doubts and some unexplained phenomena going on deep down in my soul, but you know, I'm sure plenty of people do. I could have ignored it. I could have found some guy, settled down, had some kids, and made my parents really happy. And who knows, maybe I could have been some kind of happy too. But then, something happened. Something strange happened. One of my friends died. I'm talking about a friend my own age, a friend who never got to live the life he was promised, a friend who wasn't supposed to go. For those of you that haven't experienced this, things happen. You get sad, your friends get sad, and then you spend a lot of time thinking. You think about life. You think about your friend's life. You think about your own life. You think about your invincibility, your lack of invincibility. You think of the fleeting nature of existence and the importance of making the most of your time here. Then I started thinking about her. Started thinking about her soft skin and her smile. Started thinking dangerous thoughts. I had mental arguments with myself all the time, tormenting myself from the inside out. This is a bad idea. Fuck it, who cares? What if one of us is gone tomorrow? That is the last thought I had before I went for it. And that is something I'll remember forever because that is when the silence stopped. The next few months were pure emotion. With every new step in the relationship, there were laughs, tears, self-doubts, questions. Is this me? Is she just a phase? Do I still like guys? Did I ever like guys? Do I tell anyone? Does anyone care? These questions rang inside my head every day, tormenting me, presenting me with an entirely new set of worries. I have cried more in the past year than I have in my entire teenage and adult life combined. All because I broke the silence. It took me a long time to admit that I am some letter of LGBT. Even now, it's hard to say out loud. But breaking the silence also broke the seal of so many things within me. Most prevalent is anger. I never understood angry people, and then I became one of them. I'm pissed off at my sister for telling me to keep my girlfriend a secret because I was probably going through a phase. I'm pissed off at my friend for saying there's no prejudice against gay people anymore, when earlier she'd said she'd feel uncomfortable if a lesbian showered in the same room as her. I'm pissed off at my mom for saying plenty of women don't like to have sex with their husbands. It's perfectly normal. I'm pissed off at my girlfriend who took advantage of my anxiety and lack of self-confidence in order to manipulate me and exploit my body in ways that made me uncomfortable and hate myself even more. I'm pissed off at the media for portraying lesbians in such simple terms that some of my friends don't even believe me when I come out because I don't fit every stereotype. I'm pissed off at every straight person who doesn't realize how easy it is to introduce somebody new to their family. I am pissed off at every conservative Catholic who denounces my homosexuality as a grave sin so they can feel better about their own vices. And above all, I'm pissed off at myself. I am pissed off that I have these feelings. I am pissed off that I am an unnatural human, a biological error. I am pissed off that I am different. I am also deeply afraid. I am afraid that this is just another obstacle to overcome, like the bulimia that took over my life my junior and senior years of high school. At least with my disorder, I could call it exactly that. I could fight against bulimia because I identify it as my enemy, my disease. But this is different. I am afraid that this is not just an obstacle to overcome, but something I'm going to have to learn to live with forever. I am afraid that I'm faced with a mountain that I cannot overcome because it lies within me. I am faced with a self-hatred more severe than the one that caused me to stick my fingers down my throat 3 times a day. I am faced with a sexual preference that I cannot seem to overcome, nor come to terms with. I am faced with a permanently shattered silence. And so, I tell this tale as a warning before you go shattering your own glass cases of silence. Silence may be just a cop-out, but sometimes it's easier than the truth.
Never have I ever been so afraid to be black. Never have I ever been so afraid to look at police officers in the eye with my curiosity staring at them wide. Never have I ever been so annoyed by my genetics, my skin that doesn't quite fit. Never have I ever been so scared of everything. Of everything, really. Never have I ever been so terrified that one day my dad will never return home because a white police officer shot him and gets away with it because my dad is black. Because his skin makes him a gangster, a thug, a target. Never have I ever wished my family was white. Never have I ever been timid around strangers. And never have I ever been so passionate about my race. I am African American. I'm black. I want to shout to the world, I want people to see me for who I am. But never have I ever been so afraid to share with the world who I truly am. Never have I ever been able to trace my family's lineage, which still remains because my people come from slaves, forced to shed their origins. Never have I ever realized just how much race means to some people. And never have I ever been so irritated that people just can't seem to get my race right. I am African American. I want to shout at them, no, I am not Latino. No, I am not Asian. No, I am not mixed. Never have I ever been so scared to stand up for myself. Never have I ever felt so alone. And never have I ever wanted to be anybody else but me. But now, I do. Now, I am. Have any of you ever feared being yourself.
Trump didn't cause racism. He just made me aware of it. And now, I don't know whether I would truly feel safe again. But I have to be brave, and I have to be strong. Because honestly, I'm still privileged. The fact that I'm only feeling afraid shows that. God bless all of these who are not as privileged. And more importantly, God protect you.
It begins 3 years before my birth. In 1992, my mom gave birth to her first child, a daughter named Luz Helena. She was a stillbirth. From then, my parents began having problems. In 1995, I was born, and 3 years later, in 1998, my brother was born. Being a father began to be too much responsibility for my dad. He began drinking, using drugs, and prostitutes. In 2002, after many affairs, he decided to leave the family for one of his girls. The problem? He wanted to take me and my brother with him. Of course, my mom said no. She applied for our visas, and we moved to our grandmother's. Because they never married, they never divorced. When he found out, he accused her of kidnapping. The courts agreed, so she was charged and had to give us up to him. But she refused and saw the only option: exodus to the United States. My brother and I crossed first, smuggled by van. We arrived at a migrant's house and stayed there for 2 weeks without knowledge of my mom's location or anything. I didn't eat for a week, choosing instead to give my one daily meal to my 3-year-old brother. She finally arrived, and to this day, I do not know what she lived through or how she crossed during those weeks. After stints in LA, Sacramento, and Little Rock, we finally arrived to Tennessee, where we had family. The following year, Mom moved to Virginia to work with her brother to make money. Me and my brother stayed with her sister. Unfortunately, during that time, my uncle exposed me to pornography and masturbation, robbing me of my innocence. We eventually moved out, got our own house, Mom remarried, and in 2010, we applied for a permanent residency. We traveled to Ciudad Juárez, Mexico, at the time the most dangerous city in Mexico, averaging 8 murders a day. That week, at the Consulate General of the United States, we applied, and my brother and I got our residency. However, my mom's application got denied because she brought 2 illegal aliens to the United States, me and my brother. She was not allowed to return to America. My brother and I flew home to our stepdad while my mom stayed behind. She was gone for a whole year. That year, I became addicted to pornography as a result of the trauma I lived as a 7-year-old. I became depressed. I practiced self-flagellation and attempted suicide. Twice. Each time, the thought of abandoning my brother kept me alive. She finally returned after a year, but the damage was done. I now live with severe mental illness, and rifts have appeared in my family. However, for the most part, I am lucky. I will become a naturalized citizen next year. I survived, and I am alive. I have great friends who accept me for who I am and work with me to get better. I even found reconciliation with my birth father, having talked to him for the first time since 2002 when I did research in Mexico after my sophomore year. Now, I take every painful moment of my life and use it as inspiration to defend the vulnerable, so that they will never have to live what I've lived. In today's world, that's what we all must do.
When I was a freshman in high school, I was sexually assaulted by one of my guy friends. I don't just normally blurt out that I was sexually assaulted, but things have changed recently. Until not too long ago, some of my closest friends didn't even know I was the victim of sexual assault. But after much internal conflict, I decided I had to break my silence. I was getting ready to go to the pumpkin patch one fall Friday afternoon with two of my closest friends. I was going through my usual routine of scrolling through Facebook and Twitter when breaking news came across my feed. I just rolled my eyes and said, "What now?" It had been a tumultuous election season, and breaking news could mean anything from Hillary coughed during a speech or another Republican came out against Donald Trump. But this was different. When I read the headline, Donald Trump caught on tape making crude, sexually aggressive comments about a woman, I can't say I was surprised. We've known for a long time that Donald Trump values a woman more for her assets than for her intellect. But when I clicked on the link to read the full story and listen to the recording of Trump's hot mic, my world stopped for a moment. Grab her by the pussy. You can do anything. Grab her by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what he did to me. An afternoon of hanging out, interspersed with the occasional make-out session, quickly escalated when he grabbed me by my pussy. I winced and pulled back, but I couldn't exactly get myself unpinned from this tall football player whose weight felt as if it was suffocating me. Soon his hands were entering my pants, and I screamed, "Sean, stop!" But it was as if any prior knowledge of the English language he had possessed had dissipated in that moment. With my legs cuffed and strangled by the tightness of my pants around my ankles, I felt helpless as his head moved south towards my crotch. I tried to use my hands to push his head away, but it was too late. His uninvited tongue found its way into the most private part of my body. Once he concluded his dog-like behavior, I felt relieved, thinking that this torture was over. But I let out that sigh of relief all too soon. Before I know it, he's pulling down his pants and shoving his penis towards my face. I pressed my lips so tight, hoping to create what would be an impenetrable barrier. Thankfully, my mouth provided my body with a better defense than did my vagina, and he was unable to enter me in yet another unwanted way. We parted ways as soon as I could collect myself and pull up my pants. Later in the day, he sent me a text. "I ate you out, heart." Ate me out? Is that what that was? If that is what constituted being eaten out, I never wanted to be eaten out again. I didn't tell my friends because I was too embarrassed. I didn't even know how to articulate what had happened to me. But he had spent no time at all crafting his own idea of what went down. Soon, my Facebook was being flooded with nasty comments and messages. Slut was what I was. I was a slut for letting Sean eat me out. I was a slut for being taken advantage of. I was a slut for being personally violated. It wasn't even until I got to college that I even recognized what had happened to me was sexual assault. I was just another statistic. And my perpetrator was just another male who committed a crime and continued to be glorified by society while I was shamed for my actions. Now he's off playing college baseball at some Division I college, and I'm sitting in my bedroom just imagining him making a run for the President of the United States. Now, I'd like to think that I'm more qualified to lead our country, but I'm not imagining myself making a run for president, because just think of what America would say about me. Oh, she's had sexual relations with so many men over her lifetime? How can we trust such a promiscuous woman to lead our country? Where are her morals? But him? He has assaulted at least one woman that we know of, maybe more. Oh, but that was years ago. How could we not forgive him? We can overlook his pussy grabbing because he's matured now. And that is why sexual assault victims don't break their silence.
The sound of a mass of solid steel grinding across chipped and scratched linoleum tiles. It's amazing how one simple sound can conjure up so many emotions. Fear, anxiety, gratitude, relief. 4 largely conflicting emotions, yet I experience them all on some level. 4 rooms down the hall from me, an on-site shakedown is taking place. A short and stout captain, along with his female counterpart, eagerly rip the room apart inch by inch, searching for any type of contraband they can get their paws onto. Bingo! He exclaims with an accomplished gleam in his eye. His search reveals a small, clear baggie filled with 13 individually wrapped pieces of small, white paper. Tobacco bundles from the day before shipment, smuggled in here from the outside by way of the only pocket that, nature has given us. This is what my life has been reduced to. Somebody tells me when to wake up. Somebody tells me when to eat. All of my major movement is restricted to long corridors and small rooms. I oftentimes feel like a cow when going to dinner. Each one of us, nose touching the blue gates, waiting greedily to kick our fat legs into motion when the boss swings the gate open. Moo! A sloppy line of fat, bloated bodies bumping into one another, vying for a good position at the trough. Our trough is a large, cold, square room. 4 men sporting hairnets and tattoos sling unrecognizables onto my tray. I sit down at the table and plunge my spork into overcooked noodles swimming on brown and tan sauce. It doesn't taste gross so much as it doesn't have taste at all. Water-flavored noodles. Water-flavored vegetables. The only thing that doesn't taste like water is the water.
For a girl who claims she will never need a man, who spends her life reading about and surrounding herself with empowered women, I probably spend more time defining myself by the opinions of the men around me than anyone else.
When I first saw the hashtag, I considered breaking the silence. Shout your abortion, it trumpeted, uniting women from all backgrounds, colors, and religions, liberating them from the invisible shackles that tied their secrets close to their souls. I imagined how freeing it would be. Until I saw the comments people wrote underneath those posts, they scared me. There was too much to lose. I thought about it again when I attended a lunch meeting covering the challenges facing Planned Parenthood. Free food lured me there, but the speaker's words transfixed me. 1 in 5 women will use Planned Parenthood at some point in their lives. The majority for medical services and birth control, not abortion procedures. Our goal is to provide care for everyone, she explained. Planned Parenthood's goal speaks to me because I know how necessary their services are. I am part of that statistic. I am a 1 in 5 woman, though not in the majority. I remember riding to the clinic that frozen morning my senior year at Notre Dame. As my boyfriend navigated the snowy streets, I clutched his hand in a death grip. Outside, 3 protesters swaddled in winter coats glared daggers at us and tried to pass me a pamphlet, which I declined. And then the long wait upstairs. And then being separated from my boyfriend and led to another waiting room downstairs where a woman in bright pink scrubs asked me a series of questions designed to make sure I wasn't being tricked into this by him. I laughed it off because we had talked about this decision together so much. So much I told him that I didn't want to talk about it anymore. But underneath, I was still so scared. So fucking scared. Am I doing the right thing? How did I end up here? Why was I so stupid? Will it hurt? What will my mom think? My dad, my very Catholic family? My friends? What did I think? I just wanted it to be over. Afterwards, we went back to his place. We smoked. I got high for the first time since I found out I was pregnant. And then I cried while holding that butterfly blue envelope full of sonograms we'd had done a few weeks earlier. He hugged me. His friends, his roommates, our friends, they had no idea what the hell was going on, and I was fine with that. I didn't want them to know. Maybe they would start looking at me differently. Maybe I was already looking at myself differently. I went to counseling at South End Women's Care Center before and after the procedure. The counselor helped me talk through some of my issues, but there were other things afoot in my life that shoved my cognitive dissonance to the back seat. My brother was diagnosed with cancer. A close friend died, another was fading away in front of our eyes. Graduation awaited. The stigma of the A word lingered behind my shoulder, and I pushed it away. After only 2 sessions, the counselor told me, "You seem to be emotionally well-adjusted. I don't know if we have anything left to talk about, but feel free to come back if you ever need any help." So, I graduated. I went home. The A word gnawed at me, and I had no one to talk to after my boyfriend and I broke up. Medical school applications forced me to be introspective, to think about the kind of person I was and what I believed in. That caused me to spiral downwards. I did some stupid shit. But somewhere along the way, I started to pull myself together. Looking back, it's not as if those few months were a dark hole where no light shone. There were happy times. There was laughter. But I couldn't reconcile my view of myself and my actions. All my life I had been told that what I had chosen was wrong, that I had sinned and I should feel ashamed and guilty, that it should be kept a secret. But I had talked it out with my partner. I had researched and read the literature. I had looked into alternative options, which didn't pan out for some reason or another. And I got both sides of the story, getting opinions from women who had kept their pregnancies and those who hadn't. And from those who hadn't, hearing from women who were happy and women who harbored regrets. I felt justified in my choice, but simultaneously ashamed. I couldn't form words out of the silence surrounding my thoughts. I didn't want people to know. People do know, though. A few family and friends, because I couldn't keep that kind of shit inside for so long without breaking down. My mom knows. She actually found out before the procedure. Mom's a devout Catholic. She was appalled and so sad and hurt by my choice, but she has found some way to love me again in spite of it all. Most importantly, I know what I've done. I know what I believe, even if that girl her senior year wasn't so sure. I still love myself. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I'm here now. I want to break the silence. I want to unwrap the chains holding this secret close to my soul. I want to end the stigma of the A word once and for all. I want to talk about it. I had an abortion while attending Notre Dame. I made the right choice for me, for us. Even if you don't agree with me, I know myself and I trust my decision. Our decision. I'm ready to shatter my silence. Our silence. I had an abortion.
I am a mediocrity, but still I speak like Socrates. I'm post-suburban, hip-hop loving, got ideas you gotta see. I sail smooth, like Odyssey, but ship like Prime, I'm 2-day free. Drown my dreams behind the scenes, I dethrone fame. Now pray and sing. Strive to satisfy my doubts, drop a tape or just drop out. You love to live under a dome, inside a bubble, loud and proud. I have my doubts, but run with them. Devoured, but devout. A hush I keep beneath my sheets, but growing towards a shout. I'm lyrical, silent, prophetic, scheming, zenith, and obscene. Fear my major every day. Think what life would be like in heaven. Question what it's like to live without trying to get a mention. Walk without my headphones now to hear the world breathe. For a second. I'd sprinkle dust like Peter Pan to fly to heights unseen by man. I gave up on my master plan, still sign my name in scarlet crayon. Who you think I am? I'm Dante, Alex, mortal man. This campus thinks me out of hand, out of style, made of sand. Engage, but don't appropriate. I create love, demolish hate. The pearly gates have got to wait for days when I'm not afraid.
Oh my God, people here are always smiling, I said to myself when I first arrived at Notre Dame. How's it going, man? Great is the most common and daily conversation, making you feel warm and cared for. How's it coming with your chemistry test? Not that good, Andy said, still smiling. I looked unconsciously into his eyes and I saw them full of depression and sadness. Do you need any help? No. I think I can handle this course. However, I never saw him later on because he dropped chemistry.
For nearly 2 years, he pulled and pinched and picked and poked at my thick thighs. You are so fat. He'd tell me, you're going to eat all that? He'd ask, let me finish that for you. She'll have a salad, thank you. He'd tell the waitress. For a while, I controlled myself. I took it as a joke and didn't let it bother me. I stuck around because he sometimes was really funny. And he was passionate and thoughtful and knowledgeable and witty. I even told him that I didn't like it when he made fun of me like that. But like a bucket eventually overfills and water can't help but come spilling over, I couldn't hold my feelings to myself. It happened when he was driving and he pinched my thighs really hard. He told me that he couldn't believe that I'd had a whole bucket of popcorn to myself. I blew up. I easily sobbed and screamed to tears. Please, please leave me alone. I'm not fat, okay? Let me out. I didn't care, he was driving. I thrust the car door open and ran. I ran and ran until I couldn't hold my breath, and then I called my mom and told her that I couldn't believe that I'd wasted so long with a bully for a boyfriend. She told me that I am one of the strongest people she knew, and that without my powerful legs, I couldn't be the awesome athlete I'd worked so hard to be. Geez, I was being funny. Can't you take a joke? He later texted me. He didn't believe that I'd finally ended things with him. Now, I am so happy to be many miles away from him and his nasty comments. And there's no denying it. My thighs are thick. But because of him, my skin is down thicker.
Hey y'all, I am just standing here before you today to deliver a public service announcement to the straight male population listening. Women want to orgasm too. Did you guys just all get together circa 1820s and we're just like, yeah, let's all pretend. We don't even have to pretend to go down there. I'd much rather play with the newly invented fucking stethoscope than please my wife and my 4 mistresses.
Until I went bald, I never knew how my sense of beauty was shaped by the approval of men. Let me back up. I shaved my head back in April to raise money for cancer research. I did it to practice empathy, out of gratitude for my health, and show solidarity to those undergoing chemo. I didn't realize until afterwards, though, just how much changes when you don't have hair. I could shower in 1 minute flat. I no longer have 3 or 4 goddamn hair ties on my wrist at all times. Strangers would rub my head. I heard sounds louder. I felt the wind sharper and the sun warmer. I was exposed and scrutinized. As the weeks passed, the event faded in memory, and my haircut became seen as a mere fashion statement. At Notre Dame, a girl with a buzz cut is a rare sight. For the most part, people liked it. Sometimes I'll get, "Why did you cut your hair? It was pretty." But it didn't bother me. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Other comments got under my skin though. Ever so often, one of my guy friends would tell me, "You should grow your hair out, 'cause guys like it better long." Or, "Isn't having a guy haircut gay code for being lesbian?" Or, "Let's just say you've committed to being single for the time being." Excuse me? I had no idea how to respond to these comments. Is my worth really defined by my appearance? Is my identity as a woman shaped by some rigid, unattainable ideal of feminine beauty? These guys certainly thought so. They tried to protect me from straying outside the lines of gender norms. They took ownership of my choices to prevent me. They took ownership of my choices to allow me to fit into their narrow definition of womanhood. They reduced me to a body, existing with the sole purpose of gaining the approval of men. I rebelled. I stopped explaining to guys why I shaved my head. I questioned my femininity and dressed intuitively. Some days, wearing a skirt. Other days, rocking a baggy t-shirt and ripped jeans. I stopped apologizing for my ambition. I didn't worry about being perceived as aggressive. Learning to be comfortable in my own skin. My buzz cut was my liberation. Cutting my hair made it much easier to be myself. I still get those comments though. When I got my hair cut last week, one of my guy friends texted me, "Damn, you're really doing everything you can to make yourself less attractive. I mean, you're still pretty enough, but be careful." Had I received this dehumanizing comment in high school, I would have fallen into a spiral of self-destruction and stopped eating for a week. But now, I have learned to fight back and assert my own self-worth. I am beautiful, but my beauty is not measured in inches, pounds, or percentages. I am powerful, and the foundation of my strength lies far beyond anything you can see or imagine. I am a warrior. You cannot take away my identity or reduce my dignity. Long hair, short hair, or no hair at all. I am a woman.
had another dream today where you didn't come home. You didn't survive this war.
I dreamt that I had to stand in the first pew as your family lined up by your coffin. I watched as your mother cried and your brothers leant on each other, and I just stood there, numb, cold, undefined, alone, a no one. I dreamt that they buried you in the ground, and it took every ounce of my strength not to crawl down there with you. Your little cousin did, though, and I watched in agony as they pulled her out, her little purple dress stained with dirt and her eyes streaked with tears. She ran to me, this ice-cold figure, and lifted her little arms to be held. I scooped her up, thinking of how much you hated when I babied her, and how you warned me that our kids would never grow up with me babying them. She cried into me. I dreamt of finally feeling warm, and for the first time, feeling my heart. It was so heavy and ugly. I was blazing angry that they took you away from me, angry that all of our dreams and our promises were gone. I woke up then sobbing, my roommate stirring in her own sleep. I reached for my phone and I prayed for an email from you. Nothing. I'm crying now writing this. I'll never tell you these things. I will never tell you just how much I hate deployment. I'll never tell you how often I watch you drown in my dreams, or that the reason my eyes look so baggy is because I fear sleep now. I'll never tell you how much my heart aches when I see the blue uniforms of the ROTC. Most assume it's that I miss you, that I somehow dream you'll sneak up on me and surprise me, disguised as one of our ROTC. I haven't thought that way for years now. Honestly, I just look at these young men and women and my heart bleeds. I hope that they'll be safe, that they somehow will miss the jaws of death that is this war we're waging. I comfort myself that these are officers and they'll be in their cozy desks and command centers, unlike you there on the front lines and enlisted. I know, though, that this is a lie. They'll be there too, facing the same risks and dangers. I wish that I could protect them, tuck them away in a world full of academics and money. Lots and lots of money. I mean no disrespect. I'm proud of our military. I just wish there was no war. Naive, I know. Hell, you'd think I, of all people, would know that there will always be conflict, but I do not think that conflict means war. People keep asking me what's wrong. Apparently, I've changed. Someone told me that it looked like my smile was broken. The truth is, I just don't feel safe anymore. I love this campus, I always have, but safety isn't there for me. Ever since last year, I feel vulnerable. I know now all too well how much strength I lack. I love this campus, but only the dome with Mary standing guard makes me feel a little safer. I love you, too. Maybe too much. I've come to rely on you too much. It's funny because when people ask how I'm doing, I always say fine. Even when they ask about you, I say you're better than you were the last time they asked. Honestly, it's because in the long run, I don't matter. I'm not the one risking my life. I'm not a military mom either, sending her baby off to war. I'm not a military wife either, with little ones waiting for daddy. Honestly, I get uncomfortable too when people tell me that I'm important for the fight and that I serve too. I want no part of this fight. I want wars to end. My biggest sacrifice is not sleeping. Yours is so much greater. I'm sorry then if I seem distant. There's just this huge piece of me that will hopefully always be invisible to even my friends. God protect him, and Mary give me the strength to be a woman dedicated to peace and love with a man at war.
I met a beautiful girl today. I wanted to tell her that she was beautiful, but I thought she might take it the wrong way. Then I thought about the fact that me meaning it as more than just a hetero compliment is considered the wrong way. I met a beautiful girl today, and I don't know if she would have been interested, but I'll never find out. Because there are too many reasons to never let anyone else find out about how beautiful I thought she was. I want to go to Pride next week, but I don't know if I'll be ready to admit to the world that Pride is for people like me. I don't know if I'll ever even accept that Pride is for people like me. Or that I am people like me. Every time I kiss a boy and I like it, I second guess myself. Every time I kiss a boy and I like it, I think about how much easier it would be if I just liked boys. Every time I kiss a boy and I like it, I think about how I could just keep kissing boys and marry one someday, and no one would ever need to know that today I met a beautiful girl. And I wanted to kiss her instead. My mother once told me that she didn't understand why anyone would be bi. Because if you like guys and can get along with a guy, why would you ever put yourself through all the shit you have to deal with if you're with a girl? I think I took that a little too much to heart. I don't know how not to be afraid. I wish I was braver. I wish I knew I could handle all the shit you deal with. But I don't know if I can. So I choke back the words, and I choke on the sadness and frustration that rises in my throat every time.
Hey, so what position do you play? I'm a junior economics major. Grew up in Louisiana. The son of two professional parents. My father, an accountant. My mother, an insurance agent. We go to Mass on Sundays, and we volunteer at the Center for Social Concerns like everyone else. I live in Zion, I work hard, my grades are good. And oh yeah, I do play football for the Irish. Proud of it. Now, this year we had a little off season, but we'll bounce back. See, Notre Dame student athletes, we get treated pretty well on campus. But we are expected to compete in the classroom like everyone else. See, Notre Dame is a special place where the fans are crazy supportive, win or lose. They tend to go out their way to meet us, help us, do whatever. See, the African-American student athletes, we seem to stick out for all the wrong reasons. Things like, say, fam, you want to smoke my blunt right quick? Oh, too soon? Yeah, y'all didn't want me to go that far? All right, well, anyway. See, my roommate, he's an engineering major from Chicago, smart as hell. He even helped me from time to time when I'm having a problem in the course, when I get stuck on the idea. Yeah, about my height. He ain't as good looking as me, Well, I digress. Oh yeah, he doesn't play football. He just also happens to be black. Or as he describes it, a black male non-athlete. He is invisible. I didn't believe him when he told me black male non-athletes are invisible. I just thought he was overstating things. I even teased the man from time to time, calling him Ghost from Power. I didn't take it or him seriously until the experience changed my perspective. See, one day on a Sunday, we we was walking from South Dining Hall going towards the library. And we see these students on campus with their family. And as we walking, they was pointing at us as we approached. They even know me by name. They want to know what my major is, more information about me. Although one of them knew everything about me. Social media, right? And I noticed my roommate, he was standing next to me. And I think they noticed him too. And before I could even introduce him, so, what position do you play? And he looked at me. And at that moment, I knew what was about to happen. He said it almost sheepishly, like, I don't play football. It got real uncomfortable real quick. There was this awkward silence. It's like in their minds, he went from this exalted indie football player to just another random black guy. All they could utter was, oh, okay, cool. They looked at him like he was a Martian. Like, I didn't know they made black people like you. Of course they didn't say this, but the look on their faces. They tried to recover by asking him what his major was, but by that time it was too late. I read the book, The Black Donors, celebrating 70 years of African Americans at Notre Dame. It's 2017. 73 years since Frazier Thompson, the first African American that came to Notre Dame. We are done wondering whether we belong. We are here. We belong. We are indeed. Y'all funny.
I always thought that those who heard voices were crazy, but I would tell you that we all have at least one voice inside our heads. No amount of education could change the fact that this voice is present. It could be your best friend or your worst enemy. You could control it, or it could control you. It will lead you where you allow it to lead. It can build you up and provide hope, or it can tear you down, sinking you into depression. It knows how to prey on your weaknesses. We are usually our greatest critiques. It can only be heard if you take the time to listen. If you act out of impulse or emotion, chances are the voice is in control of you. It comes in many forms, as it can be a great deceiver. Peer pressure and the effects of not fitting in are the voice's greatest allies. Your voices dictate your choices. Inner pain far outweighs physical. Trust me, I know. Guilt is the voice that preys on me the most.
My parents were from a very outdated city in northern China. After they graduated from college and got married, they decided to move to the southern part of China, where more job opportunities were offered, gambling on life chances. 2 years after they moved to Ningbo, I was born. My birth was totally incidental and not expected, but still, my mom hoped that I could bring some luck to the family, and despite extreme poverty, devoted 50 yuan, almost 1/10 of her income at the time, to buy me a good name from a temple. Because both of my parents were working very hard, trying to make a living. I spent almost all my childhood in a kindergarten and a very small daycare center. Every day after school ended, I would sneak into the alley beside my kindergarten and buy some fried rice cakes from the peddlers. Sometimes I would also buy some kind of sweet scrambled shrimp wraps, and those days were definitely my cheat days. After finishing a full box of rice cakes, I would go to the daycare center, read my favorite fairy tale books, and waiting for my mom to pick me up. 18 years has passed since I was born, and that little girl has already grown up. My parents seized the opportunities life offered them and become very successful businessmen. We have settled down in one of the most modern cities in southern China, Shenzhen. As my parents always hoped that I could receive the best education and have a broader worldview, they decided to send me to the United States for college. But to be honest, far from being excited to leave home, I felt rather bittersweet. When my mom made my bed in my dorm for the very last time and said goodbye to me, I suddenly felt like a huge part of myself was taken away. People told me it was because I missed my parents. So I video called them every day. But still, I felt very panicked. I felt like I was lacking something. It was something rather indescribable. It was the enticing scent of the freshly baked egg yolk puff from the bakery across from my home. It was the cool breeze that blew on my hair when my dad drove my mom and me to near Sam's Club and got our favorite food. It was the sudden joyous pose that would strike me whenever I was watching television in those afternoons, waiting for Mommy's cuisine. Sense of ritual. It was the sense of ritual that I was deprived of when I came here. There was a routine that I have kept for many, many years. Every day, my mom would make my bed and tell me a bedtime story about her own childhood. And every weekend, I would beg my dad to drive my mom and me to the restaurants recommended by my favorite food channel, X-Fun, many of them very distant from our home at the other side of the city. And every spring festival, our family would make dumplings together, the same flavor, pork with cabbage, all the time. My dad would make the dumpling wrappers, and my mom would put a piece of sugar in one of those dumplings, saying whoever happens to eat it will be lucky for the next whole year. I can go on counting all my little rituals for a whole day. I am me because of these rituals. It was also because of these rituals that I was able to slow down, appreciate every single beauty I encounter in my life, and remain sensitive to all the blessings. They marked many beginnings and endings in my life. However, coming all the way from China to the United States for college, I shouldn't stop here because of the rituals I lost. Rituals are rituals because one day we might lose them. My life is going to continue, and future is full of possibilities. Right now, the first thing I should do is to set up a new round of rituals. Maybe does a double chocolate cupcake a day keeps the unhappiness away? Or maybe does a walk around the campus every Sunday afternoon? Or maybe there's a strawberry and peach crepe from the North Dining Hall. Whatever these rituals are, I know Notre Dame is going to be in all my rituals.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter too. Why won't people see that?
Who am I? I am the son, the daughter, the mother, and the father that has just been slain in the street by the one that was supposed to protect me. I am the blood that is blessing the pavement with every pulse from my dying heart. I am the setting sun that will never rise again. I am the breath that will never breathe in air again. I will never see my mother again. So do me a favor. Kiss her for me. Tell her that I'm sorry for calling for help when my car got stalled. Better yet, tell her that I'm sorry for playing in the street. Or how about you tell her that I'm sorry for being black in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tell her that she was right, that the system cannot fail those that it was never designed to protect in the first place. Tell my dream that I'm sorry for letting it down, and that being black came with an even greater consequence. And when they ask you who I am, tell them that I am the one that will never see you again. I saw my life end looking into the barrel of a gun, and the last face I saw wasn't that of a loved one, but one of hatred. I died for being the king or queen that I was destined to be. So ask me again, who am I? I am #justice4. You know what comes next.
Yesterday, my friend said to me, "You're being just as hateful as the people whose hate you condemn." No! Intolerance of intolerance is not hate.